What have you seen with the price of food recently, and where's that coming from?
The price of food has skyrocketed, and it's only the tip of the iceberg, because what's happened is that the real increases are happening on a wholesale scale way up that chain of custody, and restaurants and retailers have still been somewhat apprehensive to increase their shelf prices or their menu prices, because I think they've been taking in and digesting some of the propaganda that this was transitory at the beginning. But now that I think that the anvil is sank to the bottom here and people realize that this isn't as transitory and that we are in a recession, I think in the next month or two, especially going into the holidays where volume's naturally going to pick up, we're going to see prices increase 5 or 6-fold, whereas they were sitting on them before and eating some of those increases in costs. But we can no longer do that from the restaurant and retail side.
I mean, what does that look like? Like I remember when you had a $10 hamburger, and now you go out and it's a $22 hamburger. Like how expensive is a hamburger going to be?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a usual situation where you see hamburgers in the mid-20s, and you're going to start to see not just the prices go up, but you're going to see quality go down, and you're going to see portion sizes go down significantly. So, if you were paying $25 for that double cheeseburger, it's going to be a single patty now for $26, and the bacon's going to cost extra if you're even allowed to eat bacon, given your culinary social credit score.
Exactly. It's how much bacon you've already had this year. We only got a couple minutes left, Chef. I want to get your insight on your and our spiritual connection to food. Like, why is real food important to eat? I don't even just mean not bugs, but also not crap, not processed garbage chemicals. Why is it important to eat real, actual food?
Well, from the perspective of eliminating chemicals and kind of some of this processed junk, is that our bodies just are not made to be able to break some of that down. And I know that it's really microscopic in each bite, but over time that compounds and we start to see things that we're seeing in our diets. Now, I mean, who knows whether, some of the increases in things like ADD and anxiety over the past couple decades haven't been a result of all the glyphosate that's thrown onto our food and all the chemicals, and the fact that our food is now coming from a lab and not necessarily out of the ground. And I think there probably needs to be more research to that effect. However, there's a lot of anecdotal evidence that's pointing towards that. When it comes to actually food in the circle of life, I think it's important that we understand where our food comes from, which makes us respect our food a lot more, right? If everything that we think comes from a lab or comes out of a box, then we waste food. And wastefulness is actually, number one, in my opinion, the bane of humans' existence. And number two, is probably going to lead to some sort of a significant catastrophe, whether it comes to hunger or whether it comes to actually just where we put all of this waste and how it affects kind of the surrounding ecosystem or that biodiversity. So I think that's really two parts of it. And then number three, just for the purposes of community, I mean, food is so important, and having a gathering place or a common place where people can come together, eat food, enjoy, and talk about things. And when those community centers get kind of broken down and we get thrown back into these technological corners or social media, that's where we start to see this talk of kind of cold or virtual civil war, because nobody's actually meeting face to face anymore. It's just angry people behind a keyboard.
Hey, Aesthetic Crusaders, there is no doubt that the globalists are coming after your food. There's two ways that people can control you. It's to control energy and it's to control food. And they're doing that in many different ways right now. In our special that's available now, we talk about ESG scores, we talk with a cattle rancher and her on-the-ground experience. And I'm going to make the argument as to how and why these globalists are convincing you, or trying to convince you, to eat bugs. Oh, Slater, I would never do that. I would never. They're going to convince you, and then they're going to force you. That's on our special. Available now on The First TV, thefirsttv.com.